You guys tell me. Yeah?
We're good.
Bonsoir, dear friends. Welcome to JCB Live. And bonjour, but we are live in the Wappo Hill kitchen tonight. This is so exciting to have a happy hour with all of you from the kitchen. You know why? Tonight, we have an amazing chef, incredible chef, passionate chef, insane chef. He can wrap your body with his pasta. He can make you eat like a Roman goddess from his hand with his beautiful, thick, powerful pasta. You know why? Because he mills his own flour. He creates it from the grain all the way to the kitchen, and from the kitchen all the way to your plate. He started an incredible company after really progressing into many fabulous kitchens. And you will hear all about him. And more importantly, you're going to see him in full action preparing a series of dishes, because tonight, Wappo Hill is on fire. This is like Nero. This is like Rome in the 2nd century. We on the hill, and we're going to be eating the Italian way. So, dear friend, I'm very excited to bring the famous Josh Felciano. And remember, as he comes in, he has his own company, so you could buy the pasta from him directly. We make incredible olives that we promote as well at the Oakville Grocery and many of our locations. So I'm very excited, dear friends, to bring Josh himself. He's here. Josh, come over. Yes. Wow.
What an intro.
Welcome, Josh. Look at our friends.
Cheers.
We have friends from all over.
Long overdue.
Finally. The last time was witnessing the union of Mr. Egan and Mrs. Perry.
Yes. Quite an eventful evening with fires and all.
And they said yes.
Yeah, they did.
Well, please come here, Josh. So, dear friends, I'm going to ask Josh the question about how did he get started loving pasta so much and loving the world of cooking. Because you'll want to win the kitchen. How do you become a pasta guru? And how do you become a man that creates his own company all the way from the actual grain to the pasta?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said a lot of where it was having a food background. I've always been immersed in food. I had my first job was at 14 at a pumpkin patch farm, and I was weighing pumpkins. And by the end of the job, I was grilling sausages on the at the little lunch house. And from there, it's always been something that I followed. I pity the man who takes a long time in their life to find what they want to do, because I just knew it.
You got very lucky. Were you 14 when you knew?
I think younger than that. I mean, I was in 6th grade, I remember, and going to the library and asking my mom, hey, do you know what red snapper is? I want to make a traditional Mexican dinner, and doing, dinner for the family, from scratch. So that it kind of came at a very young age for me.
Fantastic.
Luckily. Yeah.
And then, so you are in that kitchen.
Yeah.
You are obviously grilling those lovely sausages. And then what crosses your mind? I want to get the hell out of school and do what I'm meant to do?
Maybe in some ways. I think it's the adrenaline rush. I think to this day, something that I still bring to my own company, and what I found in that day grilling the sausage was the camaraderie of the stressful environment. You've got sharp knives, you've got things that can burn you, you've got all sorts of treacherous things to cross. And so I think that was part of the reason why it was compelling to dive in deeper.
Oh, very exciting. So then you work. Give us a little bit of background as well of where and with whom you work, because you got trained in some of the best kitchen in the world of food. So dear friends, I know we have Ilona watching, Krista, Kelly. Ooh, Pat Schoof is with us, Robert Landy. Many of you, friends. It's so exciting to have such a large group with us because people are fascinated with cooking. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, born and raised Sonoma County. I was lucky to be in the industry when wine became just as much about food as food became about wine. And so partnered with some wineries initially, really dove in deep tonight. I think actually I want to like dive in with you a little bit on the concept of food and wine pairing.
We will do that. And it's going to be fun.
And then the passion came, and I met the love of my life in San Francisco and followed my mentor's trail of being able to go and work at the prestigious places that he worked at, Chez Panisse for an internship, Delfina.
Yes. Another great place. Many of you are from the Midwest or the East Coast, but Chez Panisse, an institution in Berkeley.
Yes.
Of course. Delfina.
Yeah.
Same for Italian food in the Duck Patch.
Yeah. Yep. Delfina's in the Mission.
Yeah.
But you know, I think with that, following my mentor's steps, he was working at Oliveto. He was, you know, at these places that were maybe making pasta, but also were very Italian driven. And so, you know, I'm a very small, you know, what is the ancestry? You know, I found out that I'm actually a very small percentage Italian.
I think you're French.
But I was brought up the biggest Italian in the Valley. Yeah, you wish.
I believe you're more French. Well, actually, Josh, I want to ask you a very important question because we have a big dilemma on the pizza. Who invented the pizza, the French or the Italian?
I've never,
maybe none of the two.
I've never heard any evidence that a Frenchman has made a pizza.
But well, we do it on our stomach. It is a setup. Who invented the pasta?
Well, I think secretly, I think it actually, I mean, the translation of pasta is what?
Well, the Chinese, right? Way back?
No, the translation is paste.
Paste.
You know? So, I mean, it's up to your own interpretation. But I think story has it is that, you know, noodles were actually originated from the spice trail from Asia initially. But, you know, of course, just like I say, I'm a small percentage Italian, but I was brought up to be 100% in some fashion. And so when I found that direction with my career, I think, you know, working in, I started this interview saying, you know, I loved camaraderie and I loved the stress, but, you know, when I found the caliber that I was in San Francisco, working, you know, 60-hour weeks in a management position, you know, you're responsible for managing multitasking. And so, you know, when I was making pasta as one of my tasks of the day, I was only allowed to be making pasta. That was it.
And one type or multiple types?
Well, of course, multiple types. Okay. You know, you were managing more than just one pasta at a time.
Yeah, because the kitchen is a very organized place.
Well, and pasta breathes. It's a living thing, just like wine. Pasta, you know, is constantly getting wetter or drier. And so,
getting wetter and drier. Ooh la la. This is only 6 o'clock. Can you imagine the evening being young?
And so you move with it. But in some ways, it made me realize two things. One, I loved the zen of one project focused on similar to baking or working with flour in that way. And the other thing was I learned that I was a horrible multitasker. And so that was in some ways the nebulous of how I found pasta to be something that I wanted to learn more about.
But that's interesting. Can you, before we dive into this world, explain us exactly what went through your mind? Because this is fascinating.
Yeah.
The kitchen is the art of doing so many great things, right? And to be able to go from one station to the other to the other. And you realize you wanted to do actually the opposite, which is very commending and very unique.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we're responsible for so many things on a menu at a restaurant, even if it's only French food or even if it's only this. But, you know, what I've been able to do with Bayview Pasta is take pasta that I knew as pasta, and sure, we were making it from hand, and, you know, we maybe had a little bit of a story about the sack of flour that was sitting in the bin, but, you know, what I really learned was that you could even dive in deeper and really the relationship that I came from Healdsburg having, you know, knowing the farmers that were growing in our valley, knowing that relationship, knowing just a little bit more about the story that, you know, I felt like I had the opportunity to do with Bayview Pasta. And so
Bayview Pasta, dear friends, is this new fantastic company that you started. So tell us a little bit about that, because I want to say in the world of chefs and cooking, often you think about, okay, I'm going to open a restaurant or I'm going to open a restaurant in a hotel, or I'm going to be an in-home chef, or I'm going to have a catering business. A lot of that is the typical path. Mm-hmm. But you actually decided to create a product. Mm-hmm. So tell us about how and when did you do that and why?
Well, I knew COVID was coming.
He has a crystal ball. And he knows Bitcoin is still going up, so that's a good sign.
You know, it serendipitously happened. I was on a road trip with my girlfriend, I think. No, my wife. Yeah, she was my wife. Yeah, she was my wife. We were on a road trip. Every New Year's Eve, we go on a road trip. Uh-huh. And so we're driving through Utah. And, at the time I decided that I was going to be making pasta. I didn't know that I was going to be we'll get into our niche, which is hand-milled flour.
That's right.
So I was touching on that a little bit. And so we're driving through and I called up this, mill company that we were buying from. At the time we were buying, whatever we could get shipped for the cheapest. Yes. It was kind of the R&D of the first year in 2015. And then, we called them up and they were like, oh, this is a subsidized grain. You can't really find it from anyone. I was like, God, I feel like I have a better story to tell than what I'm getting in this instance. And so that was when I kind of realized, wow, coming from wine, knowing that, table wine was how it all started, right?
That's right.
And so look at the progress that it's also made, and the taboo of something like gluten in the last 10 years. What are we missing out? What is the relationship? Where's the bridgeway between this one product that I'm diving in on, and what's the story that I want to tell? I'm in San Francisco. I got to work my buns off to get to have a niche and have something to say and contribute into the
and you have a girlfriend, almost a wife. There's almost a baby on the way.
Yeah.
You're going to get those buns to be sweating a bit.
That's right. Yeah. And thank you for reminding me. That was kind of the way that it also was built, was that, we were both working long nights. I said, hey, if we're going to have kids on the way, yes. I want to be able to contribute to being a father also. And so how can I build a company that I'm passionate about, but that it also contributes to what I really want to do, which is be a father, be at home, and contribute.
So that dream got achieved, but I want to show you, dear friends, we're going to roll an amazing tray that Josh prepared. And I know the artist behind the camera, the Fellini of the house, the Francis Ford Coppola, newer generation, is right here, Dylan, who is zooming in. Yeah. And Josh, this is all you, as you're having a little JCB 21, because, even if he's Italian descent, he likes Burgundy, as you could see. Like Andy Fleming Egan is watching. I'm delighted that we have the Egan family with us tonight. Fariba, thank you for being with us too. Yelena, what an honor. I know your husband is Italian, but he's going to learn a great deal, Yelena, tonight. And Krista is with us too. I love it. So, Josh, why don't you describe what we have in front of us, which is really the foundation of your business?
Absolutely. So this is a culmination of 6 years worth of relationships with farmers, mostly West Coast. We've got a few in Utah. But we've slowly brought ourselves closer to home. That's our goal, is to just bring it back as centralized as we can. So we started the business making pappardelle. We made one pasta. Okay. So we, generally the recipe for pasta is one kind of wheat.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's durum wheat, which is then turned into semolina. Now semolina. So real quick. The gist is that you have a kernel of wheat. The outside is called a bran. Yeah. The germ is the connection.
So let's look at look at your hand. I know some palm readers who are with us, like Fariba. She's going to be able to tell your future.
Okay. So the outer husk is the bran. Okay. You have the endosperm, which is the meat on the inside.
Did you say the sperm?
The endosperm.
So we have sperm. That's going to be quite the night.
And it's
luckily we have a lot of guests.
It's only 6:15.
The temperature is rising in the house.
Voila. Okay.
That's how he makes baby. He just throws those sperms into his beautiful wife.
I mean, look.
That's how it happens.
Okay. So the endosperm of the Durham wheat, which
Wow.
is generally what a huge percentage of pasta is made from, is called semolina.
Yeah.
Of course, heard of semolina.
For sure.
Okay. So this is Durham wheat here. So this is from Tehachapi Grain Farms. We can get more into their amazing farm practices and that they're not subsidized and that this is actually from one plot.
Great. That you hand select.
They hand select. We actually have done enough business with them that they actually are growing certain plots for us.
You. Wow.
Correct. So this right here is special. Why? Because we're not making semolina. We're selling a product that is actually Durham. So we're stone milling. There's a lot of different ways that you can mill. So there's roller mills that will actually remove just the. They will only use the very center and make something called semolina.
Yes.
We actually stone mill. So we're old school. We stone mill. We use bronze dyes. Ooh. We are not efficient.
We do the same with the olive oil we're gonna have tonight. Stone.
Yeah.
Pressed.
Right. Yeah. So it's old world. It's not efficient. And I think that the benefits are that you have more of the nuances. So in line here, you have the whole grain.
So Dylan, go in the line closer. We need you. Perfect. Thank you, Dylan.
So this is the Durham whole wheat. This is when it's been ground up, and then this is the bran, the outer husk. And so we actually have a product. This pasta you can see. This is our pasta, Bayview pasta. So you can see that pigment that actually comes from a combination of this bran. It's the outer husk, which holds. I mean, I want you to ask me. What's my dream? My dream.
I will ask you that, but I might as well now.
To falsify that that all pastas.
I thought it was to be able to generate such sizable sperm, but that's another discussion we'll leave for later.
It's to sell you tonight and all of our viewers that when you include 100%, just like you would with an animal, just like you would with the olive, when you include 100%, it's more digestible. It's better for you. It's more of a wholesome food. Great. And so that's how we decided to come up with the recipe for our pasta. We started with this really solid staple.
And what about this part of the table?
We'll get into that. Okay. This is a red Hollis wheat. So this is from Prosser, Washington. High stress, not in the desert like this one. This is from the San Joaquin Desert. This is from Prosser, Washington. So it's a higher elevation in Washington. This is what gives a lot of the pigment and a little bit of the sweetness. So there's a balance in the actual flavor components that we're getting from the fresh milk. And I want you to go out on a limb with me. Yeah, you're going to smell.
Ooh.
Go even
I'm
further.
in the farm.
John Charles.
My nose is in the addict.
I want you to take a leap with me, okay? Everyone that I've ever interviewed has done this with me.
Yes.
Taste a little bit of it.
Yeah, of course.
No, not that. The flour.
Oh, the flour itself. Mm. Mm. You feel? Yeah, the feel.
It already tastes like food.
It's already food.
It tastes like a cracker.
Exactly.
It tastes malty. It has a nutty complexity. I mean, do that with the flour that's in your pantry. I dare you. It's not the same.
We're very picky in this house about which flour we use.
Good.
We use one flour, the kamut from Egypt.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a very unique, but irrelevant. This is amazing that you go all the way and you have them specifically mill it for you. And
we mill it.
You mill it.
We're a milling house.
So you are milling it.
Most importantly, we are a milling house.
Wow.
And that will bring me into this. So we started making pasta. That was my segue from the restaurant industry. And then from there, but my wife bought me a mill on, my KitchenAid attachment, and it milled, I think, a pound of flour in 8 hours.
Wow.
It was ridiculous.
Very efficient.
Talk about slow food. I mean, chez Panisse, right? No, I mean, and then from there, I bought, a little bit bigger of a mill, and now we have a very large, a 30-inch stone mill that is actually able to scale the business as we have. So no, we are. So
you are milling everything.
We are a milled to order pasta company.
Wow. So can actually people order that side of it?
Absolutely.
And make their own pasta as we're going to do now?
And as hard as COVID has been, that has been one blessing that's brought flour and fresh milled or bakers to the forefront, is that they're able to buy something that is actually not only milled to order, but also stamped, that actually shows them how old the flour is.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so this is the
polenta. Yeah, let's go to that side because we're going to cook. The water is excitingly boiling. The jacuzzi is ready.
That's right. So we additionally have also started playing around with corn. And so we started with this is the yellow dent corn from Utah.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do that.
I'm going to try everything.
Not quite pop.
I'm going to put everything in my mouth after this wet excitement.
Yeah.
Ilona, you see what happens. Even Jen Lombard is with us. And Don, I know Robert Landry, ooh la la.
So from this yellow dent corn, we started making polenta. And then after we started making polenta, we had a byproduct of cornmeal. So we started playing around with nixtamal and adding lime to the corn and making tortillas. So now not only are we a pasta company, but we've been able to blossom into doing more things that are focused on hand-milled grain.
So pasta, polenta, and tortilla. Wow. You're really branching out from Italy all the way to Mexico now.
That's true. That's
true.
Yeah.
When do you come to the French side of the part of the world?
Whenever you give me something to do.
Well, we will tonight. We'll give him some opportunity.
So I thought what we would do, part of, as you had explained, we have some kits for you guys to order either on our website or actually directly from Oakville Grocery. I thought what I would do is maybe play around with some of your varietals.
Great.
With the wine background that I have, I thought maybe we could hop in and do a little bit of a pairing.
I love it. Born and raised in Sonoma, dear friends. It's going to be exciting. Right. And you could see, we often say, think about the source. This is the big and one of my favorite expressions about Lao Tzu as a great Chinese philosopher who thinks about the base, the source. As we do in vineyards, as we do in anything we do. But you go that step further. And I got to tell you, Josh and I had the pleasure to meet many, many years ago. And he is one of the best ever in terms of not only pasta and polenta, but as well olives. And we'll show that to you later. He makes those too.
That'll be one of our dishes.
Excellent.
All right. So what I thought we would do to start off is, I totally forgot. Do you by chance have any of your caviar vodka?
Absolutely.
You do?
You just ask and I will go and get it.
Because I think that we could pair with this next course. The first course I wanted to do was kind of on the lighter note, although very unctuous, just like you.
Oh, thank you.
You're wearing black.
Sure. That's because I have a little bit of extra pasta here.
Hit the kickboxing.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so squid ink.
Yes.
Traditionally is spaghetti. So we have made actually, not in the kits, sorry kids. We have made, look at this.
Wow.
Do you smell the salinity?
Oh.
Brininess.
Dear friends, I want you to see what we're going to be enjoying.
Wow.
This is top notch. This is the upper echelon squid ink. As you can see, hand milled. I love it.
So this is a homage to my wife. This is her recipe that we're going to adulterate a little bit.
Okay.
Because you're here.
Perfect. I'm honored.
And
luckily she's here with a baby.
Yeah, that's right.
If you hear a little sound, dear friends, this is breastfeeding moment. It's about 6:22, Pacific time. And this is the time. So there's a little noise in the background. This is what it's all about. We're feeding the whole family here. That's 1-year-old all the way to all of us.
That's right. All right, so I'm starting with a little bit of olive oil.
So Dylan, I'll let you get closer because we are looking at the master.
You're not missing much. I'll tell you what's going on. It's a little bit of some olive oil and red onion. We're just going to get a little bit of some color on it. Think lox. That's kind of the concept here with this one. And I'm going to salt the pasta water. It should taste like the sea, they say.
Look at what the bar has to offer. Look at what just happened here, dear friends.
Or maybe some
He shall ask for the vodka caviar, and there it appears. Because we have caviar, and we have vodka caviar, and we have the squid. So how difficult it is originally to really identify the raw materials as you have? How long did it take you to say, this is really the direction I want to go into?
You mean with each varietal?
Yes.
It took, I think, mostly the direction that I was driven by was the opportunities with the relationships that I had with the farmers. And so, you know, just like the wine industry, you meet one winemaker, the other one, you know, that winemaker is going to turn you on. Hey, I know a guy that does labeling. Oh, I know a guy that does custom crush.
That's right.
And so you start your relationship with one person, one connection, and then you follow the direction that you're aligned by.
That's
and
right.
so I think that's how it started for me. Was we first got connected with going to a conference up in.
It's all in the wrist. Did you see that, dear friends?
In
A
Olympia,
lot of
Washington.
practice.
We were up in Olympia, Washington, and we met our first farmers that we did business with to this day. Ready?
The most expensive vodka in the world is the Frostman. There's a fire! There's a fire! Gina, do we have the fire extinguisher just in case? You know, when we see a flame in Napa Valley, we tend to panic, dear friends. We panic. Because sometimes down the hills, he contained it. Well, bravo. I cannot describe you, but I will tell you the smell is amazing. But you know what I recommend? What about if we put a little JCB 21 in it? Tiny bit.
Sure.
Shall we just
In Josh's tongue.
Gina, why don't you come and join us? We want to see you. So Gina is the expert of la pasta. La
Gina
pasta de la
actually-
casa.
She actually volunteered tonight to make pasta by hand.
Ooh. We want to see those beautiful nails in full action.
Only because I had Chef Josh.
Well, why don't you come on this side?
I would be worried. I didn't want to do it all alone.
Okay, so
But hello, everybody.
I want to talk to you guys while this is going on. I've
Dear
got-
friends, my lovely wife, who is very excited about tonight's dinner. Ooh la la.
All right, so au sec.
Yeah.
So the vodka and the champagne have dried itself out. There's a little touch of some seasoning. It's red onions, just like the lox. And then in this pan, I've got a little bit of some cream
Ah,
and some clam juice that I've been reducing slowly.
we've got to get the cream. That's very, very important. So I'm disposing now of the glass for Josh. I'm going to serve him a little Pinot Noir. Dear friends, I know it's a little surprise because he wants to compare different grape varieties. So we're going to do Pinot, Merlot, and Cabernet, American oak age. So it's going to be very different with 1881. And we're going to be able to taste and tell you, and he will tell you about the different level of acidity and ripeness of the grapes, right? Josh, what goes well?
Yeah, exactly. I was actually going to ask you. Tell me why you picked this wine, John Charles.
Well, I picked it because it's seductive. I picked it because it's charismatic. And I picked it because I knew it would go very well with caviar. Because, you know, we think about champagne, we think about bubbles, we think about white with high level of acidity, you know, Chablis, maybe Chassagne-Montrachet, Russian River Valley. But I think when you think of Pinot, specifically with that dish with the crème, I think it's going to really bring an amazing balance to it. So would you agree with that decision?
Absolutely. Salinity, acidity. That's what I was going for.
I think, Josh, you need to show our friends how good it's starting to look. Look at this. Woo!
So you can see there's a little bit of some juice in there. You always want it to be a little bit wet. As you can see, we're going to toss this around. I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of some smoked salmon. It does not need heat. That oil will be released into the sauce. It's going to give it a little bit more of a brininess, let's say. Huh?
Look at that.
And then I'm just going to do what? What's the secret? My secret weapon in the kitchen after adaptation is pasta water.
Ah, so why is that?
Well, because there's starch in the pasta water, right? You have starch in the pasta water. That's going to naturally thicken the pasta. As we toss pasta in either water or the saucepan with the sauce, you're slowly breaking down the outside of that pasta. And so that is actually creating a sauce, a viscosity to your noodle.
Did we all know that? I could see some of you did. Pat Schoof obviously did. Robert, Jen, Don, Peter. Everybody seems to know that but me. Geneviève, did you know that?
Yes.
Dear friends, we have a fabulous guest. I want you to meet her. She's gorgeous. We've been friends since we were both little babies. This is the famous Geneviève Jansen. Phenomenal winemaker at Mondavi and Opus One for many decades. And now she has a beautiful wine we're going to have tonight in portfolio.
Indeed.
And do you want to say hello to all our friends, Geneviève? Because we did a live together.
Yes, hello to everybody and enjoy your evening with Jean-Charles.
Well, we will have a lot more fun because we're going to be wet and dry and excited, and our palate will be totally
Gorgeous.
thanks to your wine.
Thank you.
You see, the party keeps growing, dear friends. Thank you, Geneviève. So now, what is Josh doing? You cutting a little
Garnish.
So I need to show you, by the way, the beautiful wine. As many of you have seen it before, we're going to have it tonight. This is Geneviève Jansen, and her fabulous husband, Luc Jansen, is designed this outstanding tête-à-tête, face-à-face, eye-to-eye, nose-to-nose, all about the senses. Limited edition Napa Valley. We have it at the Oakville Grocery, or you could order it directly with them. So it's going to be kind of a feast tonight. It's going to be all about excess in a very measured way, as we see. So Gina, what are you looking for, my love? You bending in the kitchen. It's a very dangerous place to have. She was on her knees. What did you have her do?
I'm learning.
Ooh,
Learning with the best.
I think she's fully qualified in every field.
What do you think?
Wow, I think it's, well, we should have Gina tell us what she thinks. Because she's really, you know, many of you see me all the time, but Gina, it takes a lot to not only see her.
And your little ones are saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry.
That's good.
We're gonna bring-
But look
Bring
at
that
how
to
gorgeous.
And then we finish with a little bit of the sauce. See how thick that sauce is? Just from the pasta water. Okay.
Dear friends, we want you to see it. I know, like Sean and Ken McCabe and Kathleen Hahn and Jayati, you're all very jealous. We're going to share the link of the recipe for sure and where you can get the pasta, because look at how gorgeous that is.
Shall we?
Yes, my favorite part, the caviar is coming in. It's going to melt on the top.
Voila.
And I think we should, as a judge, have Gina and you. I think the both of you should tell us why does this wine goes well with it.
Well, I hope I've done my job.
You, dear friends, the flavor is insane. But again, the key, as we always say, starts with an amazing raw material, the base. So Gina, would you please? Now you have.
Thank you.
So
No
Gina,
pressure.
dear friends, look at, be with all our friends around the world, because the world is watching
Goodness.
you.
I'm going big. You win.
You're going big. Ooh la la. Did you see all the adjectives we hear tonight? God, the night is young. Okay, let me give you a little more. So, dear friends, just to give the context, some of you may not know, we're having the JCB 7. It's actually the 2015 vintage. Why 7? I fell in love with Pinot when I was 7 years old. by finishing my mother's glasses. And since then, of course, I love it forever. It's the debonair, the most charismatic, and I think seductive Pinot we produce. So Gina, tell us with the wine and the food.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, the wine is absolute beautiful cherries, dark cherries, but you have the ocean in this wine, which is amazing. You have the saline, you have a bit of the limestone that you feel, and it brings out what's all going on here.
Mm-hmm.
That cream, the salt that you put in there, which just is tastes like the seawater, but not in the dish, which is amazing. And it just gives it a pop. A pop in the caviar. Are you kidding me? Oh la la.
You can blame my wife for this
This
dish.
is crazy.
Well, I think I want to commend her because I'm looking at her. She's not only gorgeous, but I think it's going to be baby number 2 tonight because this is an aphrodisiac in the
You
plate.
could wait a little bit. The first baby's only 7 months old.
Well, there's 11 to go, so he better get started.
Oh.
But you know what I would say,
I'm
Josh,
diving in again.
and dear friends,
Please do.
what is important is the pasta. I think you can add on an average pasta anything you want. The fabric of the actual pasta is not going to reveal what the intention of the master is. And in this case, as you said, you feel the ingredients, and on top of it, you feel that, infusion of your wife in it. That really makes an enormous difference.
Yeah.
So the texture, I think, is rich and
That's,
still perfectly cooked. It took 5 minutes in the water.
That's what you get from a bronze dye. That's the difference, with a bronze dye. That's why the Checo is more than Barilla, for instance.
I don't think number 7's tasted
I just
as
lost
good.
a bet. This is why I bring it up, because I just lost a bet with my wife. I said, Barilla is more expensive. She said, oh, no. Poor
So Gina, you think the wine is improved thanks to the dish?
Yes, I do. It was always solid and beautiful and great on its own. But when you pair it with this, which I wish I could do, Josh, maybe I could take some lessons.
So stay both of you here. I'm going to bring you another glass.
I'm going to bring a little bit more of
And
this
we're going to try
caviar.
with Merlot now.
This is not fair, though.
You could
Genevieve,
probably
you
do
need
that,
to
too.
come have a bite.
I thought
I know
maybe
everybody is excited, but we're going to have it later.
I thought maybe you could tell me what wine we're drinking next, and then I'll tell you what pasta we're making.
Well, I think what
Sounds like
we may want to do is try the same pasta with a Merlot from 1881 Napa, which is in Oakville. And it would be an interesting exercise to try Pinot and a Merlot with that dish. And then we're going to go, again, 1881 with a great wine, full
I think I know what to do
of
with that.
tannins.
Yeah.
Powerful
Okay.
American oak, Oakville. This
Okay.
is the big one.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be quite interesting to...
So we're saying goodbye to the Pinot. It's
Well,
so
never
silky.
goodbye. No, I'm going
It's
to
so
give you
silky
2
and beautiful
glasses.
with that pasta.
Mm-hmm.
One, so Josh, give us your opinion and tell us when you make pasta, do you think of wine as you make it? You're born and raised in Sonoma. You must think of wine quite often.
I mean, I think of the relationships that all components to a dish or an experience need to have. And so when I'm making a pasta, for instance, that's one of the reasons why we put the red Hollis in. The red Hollis matches the acidity of the citric acid that we put into our pasta to keep the color.
Yeah.
And so the sweetness is going to balance the flavor of the red Hollis that is grown in that deep winter that has a higher sugar content because it's been stressed out. So we're trying to create a balance with a product that is flavorful, but not in one direction.
Oh,
Just like you would with a wine, right?
fascinating.
I mean, give me a high acid wine, but give me something more exciting than just acid, right?
That's it, which you had in the Pinot. Now, tell us what you think with the Merlot, which maybe, I don't know what you both think as great chefs and winemakers, what you think, which one goes best, or both.
I love Merlot. I think Merlot is a great example of what I just said. Its greatest goal is to have tannin and rightness on one side, and then also to have brightness and salinity on the other side. I think it's a very balanced midline flavor profile.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not the expert.
No, Josh, I agree with you. And what I also see it coming as bringing out is all the beautiful, the caramelized onions that you did with the, I didn't see exactly what you did, but I know it was the JCB.
Vodka.
Was it the vodka? Oh my goodness. So it's like.
And a little champagne.
Was it the straight vodka or was it an infused?
The caviar.
Caviar vodka. Yeah.
So again, it brings out, for me, it brings me back, which resonates to me is when I was a child being out in the fields or out in the gardens where you can smell all that and those emotions come back to you. So this brings a little more earthy character, which I absolutely adore. And I feel that's the onions
The Merlot,
coming
you're
through.
saying.
Yep, when you have it with the Merlot. The Pinot, it was all about the silkiness and the saline and the that black cherry and with the dish. And now the Merlot brings out this other flavor that is really cool, where you have not the shallots, but you brought in the green.
The onion, yeah.
So now,
Pops.
and you could see, dear friends, how exciting food and wine pairing is. I'm giving
Stuff. I have to say,
Josh the Cabernet now,
Okay.
because this is going to be the next recipe we're going to show you. And this is exciting because this is 100% Cabernet,
I'm gonna actually.
powerful, all age for 26 months in American oak. So I know he's going to come with the creation.
That is delicious.
So what do you envision with a wine like that?
A straw.
We have straws. We do have straws.
Well, Charles, what more do you need? It's delicious.
Danielle is panicking, dear friend. Danielle, come over and say hello to everyone. She has a leopard heart on her chest just to attract love and passion.
I know
But
exactly
she's
what we're gonna
untouchable.
do.
Don't try to tame her. She's savage. Come closer, Danielle. So, Josh, Danielle has a gift for you. Now that it's French, it's a beautiful new Tiffany straw. You know,
I'm gonna put it right in his wine glass. Which one is it? This one. There.
Well, that's such a great idea.
There you
Danielle.
go.
And how do you use it? Do you want to show us?
No,
how it
this
works?
is for Josh to use. I don't know that I've ever drinking wine from his style
John
before.
Charles, do you-
Oh, Danielle. Oh. Is there something that you've never done?
Drinking wine from a straw. I don't think I've done that.
You know, Danielle is our expert, so hopefully you are with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. She does the cocktail miracles.
I do cocktails from a straw. Vodka, gin, all of it.
Cognacs.
Cognac. Try it.
Yeah, feed him, Danielle.
I don't know.
Please.
Are the
Give him an extra help.
I found another taster.
Perfect.
wow,
Enjoy your pasta.
wow.
It's better with a straw. Maybe you give me another straw, Danielle. I'll be on the same. There's the same one there.
Okay, I know exactly what we're gonna pair with this one.
So, dear friends, stay with us for a few more minutes because we have another recipe. So, do you want to walk us through what you've done? Because we were diverting our friends. What was happening in the sauce pan?
This is a sauce that took me a long time to be able to pronunciate. Ready? Say
Yes.
it with me.
You see, I have the straw too.
Amatriciana.
Amatriciana. I mean, come on. Dimmi tutti, mi amore, tutti.
Come on.
This is not new. We're going to be,
Amatriciana, and this came out of a straw. What I mean?
hey, the passion crystal glass from Baccarat. Pretty cool, huh? With a straw. That's a new trend, dear friends. Yeah, so how did you come up with that sauce? Let's bring it closer so we could show what you've been doing here.
Nothing too fancy. We've just started off with a little bit of smoked pork.
Okay.
Okay. So what is that going to do? That's a bold flavor, you know, out of the flavor profile. It's gonna envelop an intensity.
Yes.
It's, you know, you said this is a tannin heavy. I commend you. I agree with you. I think we need to start off with something that has a little bit of a smoke to it. And then we're going to throw in some acid. We're going to throw in a little bit of, you know, initially I had two options here. I'll bring this to the
Dear
camera.
friends, we're talking options.
Okay. So I did my homework. This is what I brought. And so a chef taught me that regardless of what dishes you're doing, you can always bring components that have certain flavors into it. And so when John Charles said this is a tannin heavy, I said, you know what? I'm going to char some onions. So the way that I did these is in a cast iron pan. You just put a little bit of aluminum foil, and you just slice your onions and put them right on that aluminum foil. You don't have any dishes, and then you actually have a little bit of that tannin, that bitterness that will match with the tannins from the wine better.
Dear friends, I found someone that is much of a better sous chef than I have. So before we finish this dish, you're going to come and meet the best, what those little things have done to the family. So we're very pleased, Josh, to have found actually, the perfect family. Look at
My
that.
sous chef, Gianna Maria Felciano Pedicinoto.
Look at that. Sous chef. Dylan, are you seeing, this beautiful, fabulous shirt? There she is.
And she can toss and saute.
And your
the same
beautiful,
exact
irresistible wife,
Thank you.
Carla Pedicinoto.
who has an intense job of all jobs.
I do.
She
Do
does.
you want to tell to our friends what you do when he does pasta? You have the tough one.
I do. I take care of older adults. I'm a geriatrician. So,
That's right.
yes.
So, dear friends, we have a powerful, humane,
Gianna Maria.
community-driven family.
Well
There
said,
she is.
Carlos. A power couple in itself.
So, tell us more about where you see pasta, in the proliferation of pasta on the shelves, and really, besides all what you've told us, which makes so much sense that everybody's convinced now that they should think about what they eat. And I want to just insist on the fact that you all need to see this. Look at how beautiful that is. I know Pat Schoof is watching, and Mr. Egan is watching. And many of you, Shannon, thank you for being with us as well. And look at that. This is the dream, dear friends. And I love the fact that we talk about one of the oldest creation of all time, pasta. And it could be as well sophisticated and refined and thinking about the source rather than just an industrial product. You said it's slow food.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's the most important component that you would describe pasta as?
The actual
when you
ingredient.
say, I went to this restaurant, I had a pasta, it had this component to it that was amazing.
Yes.
What was it?
Typically, for me, the pasta itself. You could bring anything around.
Tell me more.
If the actual pasta itself does not bring the texture, which is what one is all about.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. Okay, so what we've done is
I need another sip, forgive me.
we've brought texture to the forefront just as anyone would expect to prioritize in a pasta experience. You have to have al dente. You have to have bite. Otherwise, it's an experience that is sauce-based, right? I mean, don't get me
That's
wrong.
true.
Like, when you talk about
The sauce should not be the dominant factor. The fabric of the pasta should be.
that's the worst case scenario with a pizza experience, right? Someone that's more excited about the sauce than the crust, right? And so what we decided to do is we didn't go 100% whole wheat. We decided to take some of the bran and germ out of it because we wanted that texture. But for the first time, in my opinion, you can have an experience with baby pasta where you're actually getting an invoked flavor of the flour that have you ever gone to a restaurant and said, the flavor of that pasta was amazing? No.
Rarely.
No.
I need to tell you rarely. So where do you get your inspiration? I think it's a legitimate question for a great chef who migrates into creating his own business and makes his own phenomenal, obviously, creation.
Yeah.
So does inspiration come from?
That's a really good question. I think I've had 6 years to really dive in on something that has been interesting to just grow into and never be bored with. Every time I meet a new farmer or learn a new process or learn about milling in a different way, it has brought new options and a new direction for me to possibly go with what I'm already really happy and confident.
Well, talking about that, happy, confident, you're making amazing, incredible, ooh la la, when you're going to see what's coming. Now, what is your next dream or creation that you're thinking that we're going to see soon coming out?
That's a good question. My first thing that I would pick was equity for all industry employees.
Yeah.
I think that, coming from the food industry and being kind of the back burner of thought in social equity and also how much money we're making. I mean, we work our asses off, and we make the least amount of money. So that's my number one dream.
Yeah. Well, this is a very important one.
And my secondary dream, I think, Jean Charles, would be to, just like we were talking about before, I think flour can be just as special as wine is. And I think that if we're on the right path, that I think we're already going with, I think at some day you could say, I know this farmer, I know where this was milled, I know what kind of flour this is,
Yes.
I know the life that has transpired before it's gotten into a bag and turned into a loaf of bread or a pasta for me.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Thinking of the ingredients.
Yeah.
So we could buy your flour now. So if we decide to make pasta,
You can buy my flour, you can buy our cornmeal, you can buy our polenta. We have 2 different kinds of polenta. We've got 6 different kinds of flour right now.
Wow.
From different farmers.
So exciting.
All right. So
It is very exciting because I really think I'm going to give you all the confidence, all of you dear friends out there, that I believe so many times I hear, Josh, I'm coming to France. I eat a lot of bread, a lot of butter, a lot of cheese. I haven't gained any weight and I feel fantastic.
Wow.
And my cholesterol level has gone down. And I really believe in many ways, from the milk to the flour we use in bread is, making a key difference. Would you agree with that?
It's more digestible. I mean, enriched flour is flour that has been stripped of its nutrients because it becomes more shelf stable. And then you add it back so that we can get that in our bodies, right? But those things that they're adding back aren't necessarily as digestible as what they were from the original source. And so, this is not a scalable concept. I'm battling with this right now. I'm hitting a glass ceiling in some ways. I want to be all over the world, but in some ways, this is something that should be happening in each community in itself. And it's for that reason, because it's perishable, it's beautiful, it doesn't last long. It's the same thing as wine in some ways.
Yeah. Very true. So what do we have there? Gina is back. So Bijou,
I think
you're gonna be the one testing it and telling us what you think.
So amatriciana, as I said, and we decided to go with the charred onions instead of the pickled onions, or the onions that have high acid. So this is our tomato sauce. It's raw plum tomatoes with fresh oregano, very rarely used in the food industry. A little bit of high quality olive oil, a smidge of chili flake, and salt. That's it. There's no onions. There's no garlic. It is
Josh, you're being too generous.
as simple as can be.
So we know Gina is gonna love drinking out of straw. Dear friends, it's exciting to see Gina Gallo, the best winemaker, female with Geneviève Jansen, of course, in the world of wine, drinking out of straw. Where is the world going? Woo! She's doing it. I hope I get Bob Gallo to give me a call tonight and say, what did you have my daughter do?
Let's dive.
Let's dive.
We love Gina, your talent, and we're very honored to have you as a
Let's try
reviewer of this dish.
Let's go. Okay. But we have no spoons.
Well, we do, we know your wrist works very well.
Yes.
So, dear friends, I know it's torture from where you are because you can actually not taste it, but you will make it. You know, Patrick Egan, who is going to come shortly with his beautiful wife, because, you know, they just got married. We're going to celebrate tonight with them because Josh happens to be as well one of the best men of Mr. Egan for his wedding. And I'm excited because thanks to this whole great relationship, everything is happening this way. So we're going to be indulging tonight. So we want Michelle and Patrick to come for the final toast with a full glass. Or maybe we'll refill your glass. So,
And you know what I find absolutely outstanding is your cholesterol actually is down also because some good red wine.
yes. Oh,
Not
good.
stop that, but that when you have a solid wine and a beautiful wine that's balanced, it's hard to mess up with the food, right?
That's
So
true.
then it tastes beautiful on its own, but then it's even more magical when you pair it with this. So this is much heartier, much warmer, much more winterized in my mind versus the sea. And then you have this, wow, nice structured, big shoulders. And it done. I've had this many times on its own by the fire. And now you put it with this, it brings in more of the savory
Almost a little bit of that
texture,
same
which
embodiment.
is
Huh?
yeah, it does. So it really brings out, and that's what's such a blessing is that you really, of what you do in your art of cooking, you bring out the best of what we do as far as creating wine. And I love that. You make our wines taste better.
I think that's
You know?
one of the reasons
And that's
why I wanted to focus on this red Hollis is because the subtle sweetness that you get from this flower matches so well with tannins from red wine. Or bitterness from other components. Bitterness is such a good balancing agent to our favorites, which is acid and salt, right?
And it seems so complicated, but the reality is it's not, right? Just stick to the good,
it's a teeter-totter.
and to stick to good ingredients,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So, dear
Simple ingredients
friends,
sometimes.
so because we're going to talk
I'm gonna
a lot
dive
about
back
that
in.
tonight, it's going to be very exciting. And I know for many of you, it's 7. We've been an hour together with fabulous chef Josh, beautiful and irresistible Gina.
Well,
This is an amazing recipe. We're going to post them. But I would like Josh, before we bring Patrick
let me see.
and Michelle, so they could give you a closing statement, because it's important, you know, they just got married and, you know.
We're
those
celebrating
things
again.
Are
You
exciting.
Stop celebrating people's unity and marriage,
So,
especially this month.
Josh, big question, and thank you for this amazing, really incredible presentation that on one of the most simple dish, pasta, arguably one of the least expensive you could think on the planet, Josh is showing us that it could be the most sophisticated dish and the most unique dish by selecting your ingredients and how you prepare it.
And one
He
of
was-
the healthiest dish.
And healthiest.
Because most people think pasta, it's not very healthy. It's a filler.
It's true.
It's very healthy.
It's very true.
With
So
the
you
right
talk
ingredients.
about entrepreneurship. You did, your dreams, the chef, your own business. You told us about so many great things, your dreams. Now, what message do you have for all our friends at home, for the most part? You know, some restaurants have reopened, but in a limited way. What's your message to everybody in general? As deep as you want to make it.
Give gluten a chance.
If it's the
Here we go.
right gluten, Josh.
I love it.
I love that's so true. We all
Gluten
feel
is
like
back,
we're
baby.
gluten
We got the wheat.
That was the least expected. I love it. And you know, I think it's important to have your own belief
Yeah.
and your own opinion. We in the world of democracy, which is what we all in America are for, is the freedom of speech. So I'm going to toast with Josh because I love gluten. I'm a gluton myself and I love gluten. So now is the time
Love you. That was
to
fun.
maybe thank Michelle and Patrick for, bringing you, Josh,
I would love to.
and to congratulate them officially. And everybody, you should say congratulations. As you know, Michelle Perry, the irresistible wife of Mr. Egan, is in the wine business for a great company. Right, Michelle, you should say it because it's a great firm, good friends of ours.
Yes, I work for the Trovato family, which has Chimney Rock and Sanford and Rutherford Hill.
Great wineries.
It's a small little valley here.
And amazing. So we are neighbors, and Patrick, as you all know, does everything that is possible to be done in any wine organization, including holding the camera once in a while.
Of course.
So Patrick, Michelle, first congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you.
We have Josh and I have a big question. How does it feel after it's been 5 months?
Oh,
It has?
Well,
That's the answer.
who's counting the days?
No.
Well, what do you
Yes,
think?
It's been wonderful.
There you go.
Not, you know.
well, I'm not feeling enough energy. Are we going to see a kiss or
If
something?
we can, you know, survive the first 5 months in a pandemic, I think we got it.
That's true.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we're excited because they got married between two flames, and that was very exciting.
That's a really beautiful way to describe
Wasn't it beautiful?
it. It's true. I love that. Poetic.
So maybe you have a message for all
Well,
our
so of course, Jean-Charles already alluded to, but this is the big message. If there's any moment that love can overcome anything, whether it's a pandemic on one day, a fire on another day, she still said yes, and she still got married to me. And we still made it happen, and it was thanks to all these wonderful friends. It was thanks to Jean-Charles and Gina. It was thanks to Geneviève. who
Geneviève,
produced us.
come over.
It was thanks to Donnell who made the dinner
Yes.
happen. It was thanks to everybody together. So
And these two beautiful people, they actually had to leave after their wedding.
as the fires raged through Napa Valley,
Well,
and yet you
Then they had the
have-
honeymoon.
so love overcomes.
Love does overcome.
Love
and when
overcomes
she says
all.
yes, the wedding should be over, and they should go and do boom, boom, which they did. So they actually planned the fire. Nobody knows. That was a beautiful statement, Mr. Egan. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
So we wish you phenomenal joy and happiness. Josh, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure.
Dear friends, you can see the party's going to be big on Wappo Hill. Thank you for being with us. Big kisses.